Good morning. It is Friday, October 10th, 2025. I am Andrew Faber, and you are listening to The Get Down. Congratulations, soldier. You have made it to Friday, the last day of the week, TGIF. It's no small feat, especially in the current weather. I mean, it was pretty crispy yesterday, huh? I've been working. Everybody's working for the weekend. Loverboy says this. Everybody's working for the weekend. But I've been working for this fall weather, and yesterday I went outside in the morning in pants and a crew neck, and then in the afternoon I was like, it's time for shorts. No, stayed pretty cool. Supposed to stay pretty cool today, as I am in a crew neck and pants. And we have this weekend outlook where I think it's still going to be the same. Keep an eye on that storm that is impending. Thank you, Joe Mello, again for telling us about that yesterday. And so I think that the winds have only gotten stronger that are going to be a part of this storm. So just be advised if you're going to be outside. Maybe not the best weekend for pumpkin picking. I've got no idea. But also, you may have a long weekend in store for you. Some places, if your company acknowledges Indigenous People Day or Columbus Day, whatever they call it, make sure if you have off, you take off, and if you don't have off, then you show up to work. You know what I mean? Sometimes you could even bank a day as like a flex holiday, and then you could use that later on in December. Sometimes I'll like tell my boss, I'm like, hey, I got to take this Monday, and he's like, hey, it's in the calendar. We have that day off, and so don't take time that you don't need to take. Just enjoy the day while you can. In other headlines, Israel and Hamas are agreeing to the first phase of a peace plan, which would mean the release of 20 Israeli hostages, by the 20 Israeli hostages by as early as this weekend, as well as the removal of Israeli troops from Palestine, which could be very exciting. I, for one, am happy to see the temperature get turned down on this conflict just a tad. And other than that, and the government shutdown that has been going on this whole week, there's not a whole lot of other note. I mean, there's obviously notable news, but nothing too crazy. I mean, today they're announcing the Nobel Peace Prize winner. Have you heard? But we will move on to our celebrity birthdays portion of the program, where we have racer Dale Earnhardt Jr. turning 51. Now, I have not watched a lick of NASCAR. I don't think I really have ever, even as a kid. Like, I had NASCAR '07, '08 for PS2, but I'm pretty sure I had a Dale Earnhardt, and I think it was Dale Earnhardt Sr. lunchbox when I was a kid. I feel like I've always said it's Dale Earnhardt Jr., but I'm pretty sure it was just regular Dale Earnhardt, the late Dale Earnhardt. But this is no time to talk about his father. This is time to talk about him. He turns 51. I'll check in to see on that lunchbox, but I don't think anyone really cares other than me. Van Halen frontman David Lee Roth turns 71. I once saw him live. I am also a firm believer that the Van Halen self titled album is one of the stronger A sides for any band, and also as a debut album, probably one of the best A sides. You have Runnin' with the Devil, Eruption, You Really Got Me, Ain't Talking About Love. Those are all killer tracks. I'm the One, which is not it's the least popular track on there, and then Jamie's Crying, and it's like, what a side A, Running with the Devil, or I mean, I just said it, but good stuff. Uh but Brett Favre, he turns 56, former Jets quarterback, but I believe it mostly known as a Packers quarterback. But you know, so in doing research for this, the best thing Wikipedia has for like retired baseball players or any active MLB players is that you have their first MLB appearance and their last MLB appearance, which it doesn't seem like they have for football players. But I always find it so interesting because you could see kind of like what era they started in and then where they ended, and just like someone like Roger Clemens made his MLB debut in 1984 and then his last MLB appearance in 2007. And so if you just picture like the quality of footage that we have from those two times, and just like the culture and like just all the different eras. I mean, he was a big part of the, steroid era thing, but looking into that, it was just very interesting to think about, and even, I mean, you look at footage from 2007 or 2006, you'll be baffled by how bad it is if you grew up watching that, where you thought that that was like HD, like crystal clear. It's crazy to look at, but I just think that that's a great thing that they just don't have for the NFL. I also hope you're doing okay with your Parkinson's diagnosis, Brett Favre. Best of luck out there. Gavin Newsom has a birthday today, and anything that I say about him right now has the chance to age incredibly poorly. So you know what? I'm just not even gonna touch it. You know, put her there. Put her there, good buddy. I am not his buddy. I'm not affiliated with him in any way. Anything that he says or does, I do not know. But best of luck out there, man. Anyway, we go to our national days. And so I got a new site to look up the national days, and there are like way more. And I feel like I've just been like, this whole podcast has just been national days and celebrity birthdays. I'm trying to veer away from that. But we have World Mental Health Day. I am sure that you are going to see some great nifty Instagram stories and infographics about that. I'm excited to see them all. It's also World Animal Road Accident Awareness Day, which I hope people don't post any Instagram stories about that one. Not looking forward to see that. It's World Homeless Day, where I can name about three things that they want more than a day honoring them. It's also World Porridge Day, which if you want to, kind of combine World Homeless Day and World Porridge Day, maybe we get like a little soup kitchen vibe going, which reminds me of this old bit that I used to do of like, oh man, soup kitchen's empty today. And they're like, yeah, well, the steak kitchen opened up down the street. So no one's, it sounds like a Far Side comic. Someone should just make that. I could do that. Uh, I also made savory oatmeal for breakfast yesterday where I put an egg on top of it and a little bit of cheese and some chili crisp and some soy sauce. Pretty good. You guys should try that out. Also, speaking of trying things out, it is World Plant-Based Burger Day, and so I always like to see, I some people are like vehemently against plant-based meats, and it's like, what are we doing here? There's no need to, don't need to be outraged about it. People are eating crickets, but there's no need to be so mean about it. I like to see where the tech is. You know what I mean? I'm not vegan, but I'm always down to like get a plant-based burger, and like I had in 2018 I had a plant-based pulled pork sandwich, and I was like it's not too good. I had a plant-based pulled pork sandwich in 2023, and I was like, you know what, they're getting closer. And so it's always interesting to check in on that tech, like the hot dog. Right. The toughest thing with plant-based meat is the texture. You can never get the texture of like meat right. That's like when you look at, a lot of people trying to do mushrooms and potatoes, where you look at it and it might look like meat, but like it doesn't taste like it, and like the texture is like so far off that like it's not that, right? And so hot dogs is one spot where I'm like, hot dogs are all there's no texture. You know what I mean? It's just the snap of the hot dog, and then on the inside you can put whatever you want. So it's like pulled pork. The issue with the plant based is that you don't have the right textures. And so with the hot dog, it's like they got the spices and stuff down to a food science, And so they nailed it, and it's delicious. I think plant based hot dogs are kind of the first thing to have like gotten there. So good on them. Also, National Egg Day and National Hug a Kevin Day, and quite a few others that I don't think are important to name. In baseball news, the Yankees, the damn Yankees, have been eliminated from postseason contention. Remains to be seen, like a glass coffin, remains to be seen for the other few teams. By the time that you hear this, the Brewers and the Dodgers may be on their way to the NLCS, and the Phillies and Cubs may be on their way to Cancun. But who is to say? You guys can say when you check it out, but I do not know. Anyway, thank you for a fantastic first week of the Get Down. I've been working on kind of like streamlining the process, finding a good way to get them out fast, finding a good way to clip them into interesting clips. The viewership and listenership is low, but I think that I'm going to make some ads and find a way to kind of blast this. If you are listening to this and you know anybody that might be interested in it, or like, I feel like a lot of my friends think that they need to be the ones listening to the podcast. And it's like, ideally, if it gets big enough, like no one needs to listen. It would just be, the general public. You know what I mean? Which would be, kind of what we're going for. So I need to put that into the algorithm, and just like your engagement means the world. If you have any other ideas other than celebrity birthdays and national days for like any other thing that I can look into, I had like a random patent generator, anything like that, would be happy to look at that as well. Monday is Indigenous People Day, as we talked about, so I will not have an episode. And so the next episode will be on Tuesday, October 14th. And I hope you have an amazing, amazing long weekend, and I will see you next time.